Bridgewater says he does worry whether down the road the collisions will affect his health.
Well, it can be painful, the migraines and you know, the side effects, but honestly, you bounce back, you train yourself to be ready to go, whether it's 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, however long it takes to recover.
Welcome to the CB Sports Podcast, the podcast that pulls back the curtain on the dark side of America's most beloved sport. We're your hosts, Cody Weiss
and Brandon Vetramilla.
And in each episode, we explore the human cost of professional football with a focus on CTE, long-term brain trauma, and the ethical dilemmas facing the NFL today. This isn't just about football. It's about the moral responsibility we hold when entertainment comes at the expense of human lives. If you care about health, truth, and the ethics behind big institutions, you're in the right place. Let's get into it.
One player that has been at the heart of the concussion controversy is Tua Tagovailoa. So Tua was an extremely accomplished quarterback at the University of Alabama, which is one of the most successful college football programs. Tua was first in FBS history in career passing efficiency rating, first in FBS history in percentage of passes for touchdowns in a season, first in FBS history in percentage of passes for touchdowns in a career. He was also first in FBS history in average gain per play in a career, first in FBS history in career passing efficiency among players with 400 to 499 completions. At the University of Alabama, he was first in the school's history in total offense per game. He was first in Alabama history in touchdowns per game, first in Alabama history in touchdowns in a season, and also first in Alabama history in touchdowns in a career. So all these stats resulted in Tua getting drafted 5th overall by the Miami Dolphins in the 2020 NFL Draft. His career has not been all glitz and glamour, and that's been because Tua has suffered countless injuries in his career, and the most prevalent of those injuries and the ones that have got the most spotlight are his concussions. So Tua has suffered at least 4 documented concussions throughout his career, and 3 of those have been in the NFL. 2 occurred in the 2022 season, 1 in the 2023 season, and then one of those occurred in college while playing for Alabama in 2019. So it's also important to note that there may have been other concussions in his career that may have not been publicly reported. This could cause extreme long-term effects to his health. Many NFL players like Tua Tagovailoa have suffered repeated concussions in the past, and this has resulted for some of them in a degenerative brain injury called CTE, or chronic traumatic encephalopathy. These symptoms during this that can happen while suffering from this disease could be memory loss, confusion, impaired judgment, aggression, depression, anxiety, and possibly even suicidal thoughts. In the later stages, CTE can result in Parkinson's and even progressive dementia. So like I said, there have been a lot of NFL players like Tua who have suffered concussions. According to NPR, 1/3 of former NFL professional players report in a new survey that they believe that they have that degenerative brain disease, which is CTE.
I didn't feel like the hit was big. When I watched it on tape, it wasn't a huge hit. I didn't black out. Felt a little woozy when I stood up, but I literally could not remember. Cole Beasley scored a touchdown on me earlier in the game. I had no clue. I saw the replay, and I'm like, when did that happen? That's what I grew up on, is, you got, you got dazed or you just got your bell rung. When in all actuality, it's like, no, your brain just pretty much shut your body off. Now it's restarting.
Trying to find that line, like, hey, if it's concussion, get off. If it's the potential concussion, get off. I mean, if a professional won't take himself out of the game, how do you expect a kid to take himself out of the game?
It's been spotted in thousands of NFL players' post-mortem exams, and some famous players where this has occurred is Junior Seau, Aaron Hernandez, and Demaryius Thomas. Seau and Hernandez CTE cases are much more prevalent due to the violent and suicidal nature of their cases. They both ended up committing suicide. This case kind of begs the question whether the NFL looks at their players as products of entertainment or actual humans and employees.
It's the doctors, it's your coaches, it's the NFL. They need to say, no, we need to have a better protocol in place to make sure that players don't put themselves in harm's way. Because the 44-year-old Tua is going to look back at the 24-year-old Tua and say, why did I do this? Now I have a family. Now I have people that rely on me to be around. And I've seen too many guys that are going through a lot of stuff, and it's unfortunate. I sat next, Junior Seau was my locker mate next to me, and I had to see things that you don't want to see that happen to people. So I don't want families to go through it, and you don't know. There's an unknown here.
Through the lens of care ethics, the conversation around high-contact sports like football and injuries, such as the one suffered by Tua, becomes not just a medical or financial issue, but a moral one. Care ethics ask us to consider the relationships involved between leagues and players, coaches and teams, families and communities. At what point does genuine care for an athlete's well-being override the pressures of performance, entertainment, or profit? When a player is clearly at risk, the question isn't just, can they play? It's, should they play? And are we acting out of care or just convenience?
If any player is ever demonstrating signs of gross motor instability, he's not allowed to play. Now, in this particular case, Tua Tagovailoa was taken to the locker room. He was examined by the Dolphins doctor and by an unaffiliated neurotrauma consultant that was appointed by the NFL and the NFL Players Association, jointly agreed to. Those two individuals allowed Tua to go back into the game on Sunday. But, again, according to the concussion protocols, if you are demonstrating those gross motor instability skills at that moment, you should not be allowed to re-enter the game. Now, the protocols also apply to brain, neck, and spine injuries. So the Dolphins have been adamant that he didn't suffer a concussion and that it was a back injury. Well, if we're going to use that then you could say that the spine is a part of the back, and under the concussion protocols, once again, he should not have been allowed to re-enter the game on Sunday.
According to the Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy, care ethics seeks to maintain relationships by contextualizing and promoting the well-being of caregivers and care receivers in a network of social relations, most often defined as a practice or a virtue rather than a theory as such. Care involves maintaining the word of and meeting the needs of ourselves and others. It builds on the motivation to care for those who are dependent and vulnerable. It is inspired by both memories of being cared for and the idealizations of self. Care ethics affirms the importance of carrying motivation, emotion, and the body in moral deliberation, as well as reasoning from particulars. When the NFL downplays or delays action on the dangers of concussions, care ethics sees this as a failure to meet relational and ethical responsibilities. Historically, the NFL was slow to acknowledge CTE and long-term brain trauma, prioritizing profit and spectacle over player health. Applying care ethics suggests reforming how the sport operates from youth football to the professional level, focusing on humane treatment, prevention, and aftercare. One example of how care ethics applies to this issue is the case of Tua, which highlights a failure to meet ethical responsibilities. Care ethics emphasizes the importance of protecting individuals' well-being through compassion and relational care, yet the NFL did not take adequate steps to safeguard Tua's health, not just for his performance on the field, but for his long-term quality of life. Once again, thank you for tuning in to the CB podcast. We're your hosts, Cody Weiss
and Brandon Vetramilla,
and we'll catch you guys later at the next one.